Hello and welcome to this first ever episode of the Shot Pod, where we discuss all things Aldershot Town FC. I'm Liam Flint, and I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by Howard Flint, aka my dad, who knows far more about the Shots and has been to far more games than I could ever imagine at my age already. So, Dad, welcome to this father-son production. How are you doing, and how are you feeling about doing this podcast?
Thank you, Liam. I'm really excited. It's good for us to work together, I think. And I'm looking forward to what we can explore, what we can find out, and what other people have to say about the good old red and blue Shots.
Yeah, we'll see how well we get on, whether this actually works, because you know far more than I do. But I think in terms of what people can expect, we're putting out this podcast primarily because we want to inform people. There'll be lots of discussion. We'll have room for interviews, and really we want to take a deep dive on what it is to be a Shots fan. Dad, you'll testify it's often quite a painful journey to be a Shots fan. But we hope to really encourage fans, keep them up to date with what's going on, and hopefully we'll have some interviews with people in and around the club as well. So it won't just be our voices. But yeah, lots to come. There'll be a weekly offering where we bring lots of insight and discussion. And so we'll be releasing every Tuesday. But Dad, there's only one place to start really before we get into any more on our background. Obviously, the news that we've just heard out of the Shots officially is that Josh Stokes is off, that he's joining Championship side Bristol City. Shots have said it's a club record undisclosed fee, so we don't know the exact figure, but rumours have been around that 250 to 300k kind of mark, which people seem a bit divided on. But the really good news is that he's going to be loaned back for the rest of the season, which I think was the real concern for lots of Shots fans, wasn't it? So yeah, give us your reaction. How are you feeling about that?
I think a lot of us have seen it coming, Liam, haven't we? That Josh has been fantastic this year. 16 goals in all competitions, and we can see the promise. So I think thinking about what Tommy Witherington said in a recent interview in another podcast, this deal of loaning back, so he'll become Bristol City's player, of course, but loaning back to us is a win-win, I think. And if it is around about $250,000, when you consider that we actually purchased him from Kings Lynn for 5,000, I believe, that's good business, isn't it? And we wish him well. I mean, he's a fantastic prospect.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen him quite often this season, haven't you? In the times that you've been there, you could tell very quickly that he was the cut above, level above, that he wouldn't be around for too long, but you just never want to think about it, do you?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those players whereby he's actually a move ahead. So when he receives the ball, invariably he knows what he wants to do next. So I think at National League level, it shows he's just superior. He also got a very low centre of gravity, which he could take as a personal comment. But, he turns so well. And he's not easily knocked off the ball for 19. He's I guess, almost still growing. So no, I think he's definitely Championship level. I would say as a minimum, and could well go on further. So he's a super prospect, and I think Tommy Witherington should take a lot of credit and his team for recruiting him.
Yeah, that's what lots of people have said, in that you can look at it. We're losing a massive talent, but actually, as you said, picked him up for pennies not so long ago.
Yeah.
So actually that development, Tommy said in interviews, hasn't he, that he loves recruitment, that's his number one focus. And he's made the Shots a lot of money there. So thinking about it, wide lens picture, it's got to be good for the club. The fact that he's been loaned back as well is a bonus. And you just hope that he carries on banging in the goals and doesn't just wait for his move now.
Yeah. I mean, we have to remember we're a fifth tier team, aren't we? And so the general movement of players will be particularly good players, which clearly Josh is, will be up. We're going to have players taken from us. So I think Tommy's strategy, from what I understand, to recruit good young players that have got potential and then to allow them to go on is understandable. We're never going to keep the Josh Stokes of this world, but to keep him for the whole season gives us a chance perhaps of the playoffs. And if it is $250,000, that's a massive piece of good business. So I think it's win-win all round. I'm sure Josh will be excited. I'm sure he'll do well. I just hope he can carry on as he is for this season and see where the Shots get to.
Do you think he's worth more than $250,000? Some
I
people are
do.
saying, "Oh, we should be getting $500,000," but obviously, yeah, when a big club comes calling, they probably get what they want. But do you think that is good business, or it's a little bit undercooked?
If it is 250, I would say a bit undercooked. I think he's worth more than that. But of course, he's 19. This is his first senior football post. When he was at Sudbury, it was still, sixth tier or seventh even. So I think he's yet to prove himself at a higher standard. But everything points to him being, he'll be at home. I'm sure, and Bristol City, I'm sure, will play him soon in the Championship, just to see how he does. But yeah, I must admit, I thought maybe 400,000 would be the going rate, but I don't know what the market demands.
Mm.
I'm not a financier. I've had three children to bring up, so that's
Yeah,
cost me.
that's it. Yeah, I mean, we're saying 250. That's what people are saying, but obviously it's undisclosed for a reason. So the
Mm,
feeling is it would be higher than that. So yeah, it might be an extra 100K that we're not factoring in. I think there is a sell-on fee as well, and obviously they're doing shots to favour with the loan back. So I'm sure that eats
yes.
into it slightly as well. So I think yeah, overall
Yeah.
agreed that it's a good move. Disappointing, but yeah, considering where he came from only a few months ago, it's a
Yeah.
big rise and a big payday, and yeah, hopefully he'll still be scoring in the next few months before he leaves. So yeah, so you would
Yeah.
say good deal, pretty happy, move on.
Yeah, I am. I'm happy for the club. I'm happy for Tommy because that's proof of his recruitment acumen along with his team. And I'm definitely happy for Josh because he's like anybody, a young player you want to see progress, don't you? And we keep him for the rest of the season. So I think it is win-win, and we'll see what happens, the rest of the year.
Yeah, and just a little aside on that, it was believed that Brentford might have been in. I mean, there are a whole host of clubs, Championship level and beyond, that wanted Stokes, we believe anyway, and Brentford were one of those. But obviously they haven't got him. But the interesting thing now, and obviously you're aware of this, Dad, is that they seem to have turned their attention to Bromley's player, Ben Crowhouse instead, and that looks to be going through. I don't think it's done, but it's on the way. So that's interesting, isn't
Yes.
it? That they've gone for a similar profile, and so maybe that does strengthen the fact that they probably did want Josh Stokes. But either way, they've got a very good player, haven't they?
Yeah, I think Ben Krause is an exceptional player. Again, he's a bit like Stokes. I believe he's come through Bromley's academy. So again,
Yeah.
homegrown. They will have done very well financially, I think. And again, a young player who I think is 20 or so, and a Premiership club coming in must have done their due diligence. So yeah, I think, and he's an attacking midfield player as well. Very well spoken of. I suppose one positive is he won't be in the Bromley side to face Aldershot tomorrow, so
Exactly.
we can enjoy that. But no, he's a classy player, and I think it does show that Premiership clubs were looking at Stokes as well.
Mm. Yeah, two really good talents, obviously leaving the
Mhm.
National League. But yeah, that definitely does help with the second in the league coming to the shots this week. Hopefully that will give them a bit of momentum as well, knowing that Josh Stokes will still be there, even though Crowhouse may not be. Um, so, Dad, before we just chat a little bit our story, let's just review Kidderminster. Obviously, I think a few people saw it coming, that it might have been a bit of a banana skin going away to bottom of the league, just been thumped in the cup by Bishop Stortford, and it didn't go well. Started well, but obviously shipping more goals.
Mm,
What was your review of the game? I mean, we'll talk about Tommy's quotes after the match, which were very interesting. But on the face of
mm.
it, 4-2 away, bottom of the league, they haven't scored that many goals often at all. It was really disappointing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't at the game. I make some of the away games, but yeah, I think trying to be forensic about it, I feel the midfield is a serious problem for the shots. When I say a serious problem, is an area of concern for Tommy and his team, because we know that in terms of the defensive players, we've got some really good players. They're athletic, that they're good in the air, and between them, from Kobe Rose, a big giant of a player, to Kian Harris, who's really good on the ball. Ollie Harfield, fantastic engine. and Aaron Jones, who's obviously been out for a bit, up and down the flanks as a wing back. They're really decent players for the National League. I think the midfield has been the area of concern as well, obviously as defence, because when we had Frost and Willard in the earlier part of the season as a sort of makeshift midfield, we actually appeared to be stronger. And we obviously got better results, a run of results where we were doing really well up till November. So I think clearly they're not defending well, but I do wonder about midfield. Stuart O'Keefe has come in. Obviously, Theo Witherington is back, but they maybe haven't gelled. And I think Tommy's comments that you mentioned were quite telling.
Yeah, I just picked a few of those out for us to chat through. I mean, he's always very honest, isn't he? Which is what we appreciate as fans. But I just thought it was very interesting, some of his wording, not holding back. He's happy to say, actually, yeah, this was unacceptable. A few players were not doing their roles. People got run past for the goal. It was laser focused on not allowing everyone to just get away with it. And he said things like, yeah, people need to shape up or ship out, which feels like an interesting thing to say during the transfer window, that actually he's quite willing to be a bit ruthless, and he might be looking to bring new people in, which I think will be, well received by fans who are calling for lots of reinforcements, particularly in the midfield. And obviously the fact that he's playing his son in midfield, some people are saying he's basically not cut out for this level, but Frost is first name on the team sheet. What do you think about that, players coming in?
Yeah, I mean, that's quite strong language, isn't it? Shape up or ship out. It sounds like to me that the plan hasn't changed since the early part of the season. So that I think tactically, Shots are still trying to play the same way. But clearly performances are up and down, and that's shown some really brilliant performances and then some very average ones like Kidderminster. So I think if I think most managers establish a pattern, and having established a pattern, they then look to recruit the players for that pattern rather than the other way around. So he's recruited players for his pattern, and I think they're not doing it by the sound of things, or some of them are not doing it. So I think that's a pretty clear indication that if they don't get with the program, that he will recruit, definitely. And if you look at the midfield, I know we're conceding goals, but the ball starts with the opposition in their half, let's say, most of the time. And so it has to move through our midfield to get to our back line, unless they play long ball. So midfield is actually your first or your second line of defence. But if you look at it, I think Frost has played really well consistently. Willard played really well in his early opportunities. But the question marks over the remainder, I think. So Theo, obviously O'Keefe was out injured for quite a long time. There are question marks about whether they're fit enough or whether they're gelling in that midfield. So I think that's where we are. And Kidderminster clearly had a bit of a bump from having Phil Brown as manager. He's managed in the Premiership. I think he would have had a plan and just made sure the players said die for that plan.
Yeah, there's definitely been like the classic new manager bounce. And I think lots of people would agree with you on not just pointing the finger at the defence and even the keeper, which again, I've heard people say numerous things. And actually, the midfield just seems to be weak and people are wandering through there. And obviously then that does put increased pressure, more shots on goal than we should see. So I wonder whether, in the next week or so, whether we'll see some movement there, some players coming in to strengthen that area. But just the goals they're conceding as well. I think obviously Tommy said that we gifted them goals the other day. So it's not just a case of teams coming and scoring a worldie. It's actually defensive errors that are really leading some of these goals. And I mean, some of the stats I've just wrote down here, the last 6 games. So obviously 4 conceded at Kidderminster, 4 at West Brom, granted, a cut above. 6 away at Bishop Stortford, 2 against Woking. Then it was a 0-0 draw at home. And then before that, obviously they conceded 5 at home to Eastleigh. So that's 21 goals shipped in 6 games, including a 0-0 draw. I mean, that's not playoff form. That's not mid-table form. That's a worry, isn't it? So I know the philosophy with Tommy is often we'll outscore them and we'll play attacking football. But when you're conceding 4 and 5s every week, you're not going to win many, are you?
No. I mean, looking at those figures, we've scored 47 goals this is in National League. Obviously, the 6-1 and 4-1 defeats were in the cups, but we've scored 47, which is fifth best in the National League. So we're fifth in the table if we have a tough, solid defence. Because if you look at the teams like Bromley and Chesterfield and so on, they have conceded far fewer than us. We've conceded 51 goals at this point in time before the Bromley game, and that puts us 20th. So going forward, we're in the playoffs. At the back, we're in the bottom four. So how does that happen? I think it's obviously a team game, and Tommy talks a lot about we win together, lose together, but I think the front players work pretty hard. When they're told to press, they do press. So somewhere between that midfield area and defensive area, we're losing our players, and they're breaking. I haven't seen many worldies against Aldershot this year, and I've seen a lot of the games. Byrne scored a worldie for Stockport at the EBB in the FA Cup when he broke through and went from the halfway line and scored. Most of the others have been interchange on the edge of the box and crosses, which we haven't dealt with, or they've wanted it more perhaps. So I think that's telling. We're the fifth best attackers, and we're the 20th best defence.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Actually, I hadn't thought about how that would equate to both top end and bottom end of the table. But I think that is the Tommy way, though, isn't it? It's why we're entertained. It's why 5,000 people are rocking up at EBB. It's a lovely way of playing football when you're not conceding. And we would love to see a 5-3, a 4-2, 3-3 draw. We've had plenty of those, and it is fun. But it's not good when you don't score one day and you concede 5. And we've had more of those recently because obviously West Brom excluded. We've played some good teams, but I think it's interesting as we kind of move into it. I'd love to pick your brains on the shots expectations for this year. Obviously, recording this pretty much at the start of the year, and we've had the huge high of the first half of the season. Feels like over the festive period, things slightly unravelled. We've had things like fans having a go at players after the game in a couple of instances. And Tommy's spoken about that. We've obviously had awful performance away in the Cup at Bishop Stortford. Got beat by West Brom, which everyone, I think, expected. But that was still obviously a good game. And then obviously losing it away at Kidderminster. So it feels like we've had massive highs. And then all of a sudden, it feels like a bit of fears set in. And Shots fans have gone, oh no, is this now bubble burst? Are we going to do this for the rest of the season and end up 14th or something? So I think there's a little bit of worry setting in because we're not used to having it so good that we're now panicking when the first thing goes wrong. But let's talk about where we think Shots are going to be. So currently, pretty much, I think they're 10th at the moment, 3 points off being 5th though. And when you look at that and we ask the question, what can they achieve? Then simply put, playoffs, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right. I'll come back to the bubble burst thing, but my thinking is that 19 games to be played. If Aldershot got 10 wins from the remaining 19 games, so if they won half the games, and half of those are at home, half are away. So if they won their home games, lost all their away games, they'd end up with 70 points this year. And over the last 7 years, 70 points. That's over the last 7 years of National League results tables. That would put them 8th or 9th. So I think that's obviously stats, but it means that if they win more, if they get more than those 70 points, 74 almost guarantees you get in the playoffs every year for the last 7 years. So they're not far off if they could win every other game that remains. So I think playoffs is reasonable. Keeping Josh Stokes means clearly there's a better chance than had he left today. My thinking would be playoffs is a good aspiration, and we should hope for that. I certainly hope for that. I'm really sad that players have been, and I put it as abused. People pay their money, but I think we weren't abusing them when we were beating Halifax and beating teams in the last minute. With real effort throughout the 90 plus, well, it's 100 minutes these days. So I'm really disappointed with that because I don't think they deserve that. I think, like many teams, they're having a blip. Probably there needs to be some tinkering. There might be some new personnel. So let's put that behind us and say there's 19 games to go. If we can win 10 or 11, or the equivalent of 30 more points, we'll be on the edge of the playoffs, very close to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's become so real that in a way, I think as fans, we can take for granted just how good a first half of the season it's been. Obviously, the cup run was amazing,
Yeah.
and it will be historical for a long time. But I think, yeah, we can often get a bit greedy, can't we, and forget, as you said, that actually we've had some great results. Talk about Halifax, and as soon as you lose a couple, people start going, "Oh, here we go." But
Yeah.
it's not just been a decent season. This is one of the best seasons for years and years and years, and you'll remember all the way back when we actually were in the league. So this
Yeah.
is the first positive season that I remember as a Shots fan for a long
Yes.
time. And
Yes.
so there needs to be a bit of patience, doesn't there? And actually, we've still
Yes.
got a long way to go. 3 points off the playoffs. It's there if the Shots want it and play well enough. But I've just felt, I don't know if you have, just a slight, over the top. Oh my word, this is now a downward slope because we've had a couple of really bad results.
Yes. I agree with that. And I think people watching or listening into this, it's worth reflecting just on a few details. In 2016-17 under Gary Waddock, we came fifth with 82 points. So 82 points we got, and we ended up fifth in the playoffs. And unfortunately, we lost in the playoffs. The next season, 2017-18, we came fifth again with 75 points. And again, we lost in the playoffs. But so those are the golden years of Gary in his second period with us. Gary Waddock was a great person for us. But since then, 2018-19, we were 21st. 2019-20, we were 16th. The following year, we were 15th. The following year, we were 20th. That's one place off relegation. And of course, we were actually relegated in 2018-19, but Gateshead saved us. So basically, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the last 6 years, nearly 7, we've been nowhere near 10th. We've been in the bottom half. The best we've done is 15th. So I think anywhere near that 70-point mark, which I think we can achieve, puts it in perspective that Tommy has done really, really well. And remember too, he came in for the last 6 games of last season when we were 1 place above the drop, and he made sure we survived. 2 wins and 4 draws from his 6 games meant that we avoided the drop. So I think we've made real progress, and let's not overreact and enjoy the game. Enjoy following the red and blue.
Yeah, because there's been so much to be thankful for, hasn't there, and cheerful about. In that, we've had, capacity stadium over 5,000. What's the atmosphere been like when you've been there? Have you noticed a change and a real positivity, people getting behind the team?
Yeah, I have. I think from those really dark days, I'm afraid to say, when Danny Searle was in charge and Mark Molesley, our home record, we lost 10, 11 games at home or more. Winning 3 or 4, 5 games in Mark's time. It's not what the Shots fans wanted. So I've seen a massive improvement in expectation, a really, really strong rapport between Tommy and the players, who after each game, recognise the fans, especially away. They go and appreciate the away fans, and just look at the away support. Nearly 5,000 at West Brom, Woking sold out. Fantastic support from the Shots fans away, and that's generated because we've done so much better. It's a sort of oxygen to the fire situation. If the players show they're trying and get the results, I think the fans will always be with them. We just need to stay positive and kind. I think they're not different players, and in fact, Tommy said, didn't he, on Saturday, that basically the 11 on the pitch at Kidderminster was the 11 that were winning games for fun before Christmas.
Yeah, I think it's just a case of remaining patient, and obviously we've got Bromley coming up, a couple of home games coming up, which should be key because that's the thing, for the last month or so, been away from home because of the cup
Yeah,
games,
yeah.
which is never easy. And then you throw in that you're going to West Brom as well. I think they'll enjoy going back to the EBB and just starting afresh. So that'll be really important. And I think, Tommy Witherington's just been a breath of fresh air, hasn't he? In terms of, as you've said, how he relates to the fans. He seems to understand the report, understand what we as fans want. Good on camera, says it like it is, very honest, likable guy. And I think that has really helped as well. That connection is there, isn't it? Whereas we didn't have that, particularly, as you said, with Molesley and co.
No, I mean, I actually wrote to Tommy after last season, just an email. I don't know him personally at all, but and I'm just one of lots of Shots fans. But I wrote and said thank you to him for those 6 games, which basically saved us from relegation. I think we were going down until he appeared. I tried to say to him, I did say to him, how important it was that this club survived, because I was around in 1992, March 1992, when the Aldershot FC died, and without the work of fantastic people behind the scenes, we wouldn't have a club. And I felt that Tommy needed to realise how precious it is when you've nearly lost a loved one. Your relationship is even more precious because you've nearly lost them, and you think, wow, what it would have been without. And you only have to talk to some Bury fans to know how painful it is to no longer have a league club. And there are lots, of course, but I just think of Bury as the latest. So I think he's done fantastically well. I think he's a really, really open person. And hopefully in the future we'll get him on this podcast and we'll have a chat with him.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Open it all up. Yeah, in further detail, invoice him. Dad, if I was to push you and say, where do you think Shots will finish this season? What position in the league are you going for?
I mean, I'm a believer in stats, and I think we could well win half the games that are left. When you look at who we have to play, and I know that's not a given because we lost to Kidderminster, but we've played away to most of the big teams. We played away, the Chesterfields and Bromley and so on. So the away games potentially aren't as tough as they might be. And then we've got some home games, obviously, too, with clubs around us, like Rochdale, Bromley tomorrow. So I think we could make the playoffs. My heart tells me we're probably going to be one place off. We're probably going to be 8th.
And that's with the firepower that we have with Stokes and Talage and Kwame Thomas. You still think not quite enough?
Yeah, I think we have got a squad that could make the playoffs. We've got Josh Stokes for the rest of the year. I think with the squad as it is, I think we could make the playoffs. My feeling is what I've seen in the last few games is clearly some of the players are not performing. I'm not saying they're not understanding what's being asked of them, or Tommy and his team are not doing their jobs. I think they are doing their jobs. I think the players are struggling to maintain the consistent level. And consistency at National League level is much, much more variable than it is, let's say, at the Premier League. I think the players are just not as competent, and therefore they're not as consistent. So I think I'd love them to make the playoffs and have a real go of it, because I think at home, in a playoff, two-legged final, two-legged situation, I think we do fantastically well at home. But my heart tells me, can Tommy fix the defensive situation without recruiting new players quickly? And maybe this 250 grand would be what he'll use.
Yeah, because surely when you factor in the FA Cup run as well,
yeah,
the bank balance must be all right for the Shots at the moment, surely.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was over 100,000 has been generated from the FA Cup run, 64,000 from West Brom, and another 40 for beating Stockport. So add that to any transfer fees. I'd be shocked if there wasn't some money available. I know there's a new ground plan, which we'll talk about in another edition, but I'm really hopeful all that money is not going to the new ground. I hope it's I hope it's going to the playing staff and whatever else is needed. But
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a couple of recruits in the January window with that money, and then we might just shade the playoffs. We may be seventh. I would say seventh or eighth. That's my prediction.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, obviously, yeah, if Shots were to get fifth or fourth, it would be one of the best seasons in living memory.
Yeah.
But say that did happen, just for sake of debate, and we did get seventh or eighth, we just missed on the playoffs. Would you still say that's an excellent season?
I would. I would say, considering that those previous stats that I talked about, 21st, 16th, 15th, I think to be anywhere near the top 10, and maybe privately, Tommy would admit that when he came into the club, season one, this is season one, last year didn't really count, did it? 6 games. I think season one, you'd say top 10, season two, playoffs. And if you're a Notts County or a Stockport with loads of money or a Wrexham, you'd say season one, definitely playoffs. Season two, we must win the championship. And that's what they did. But we don't have the clout, we don't, or Chesterfield, Chesterfield, their crowds are 3 times ours. And so their revenue and the ability to attract players is way, way above ours. So, and their wages and stuff. So I think it'd be a brilliant season to be in the playoffs. Absolutely brilliant. And to be 8th, really good. And something to build on, because Tommy would keep what, 2/3 of the squad, some of whom are on long-term deals already.
Yeah, multi-year contracts. I think it's almost the punishment for success, isn't it, really? In that you so quickly think, oh, we can get the playoffs or we could get out of this division. You actually forget that it's just an honour to be in the top half.
Yes.
It's not like Shots have been 16th, then 14th, 11th. We're on the way up each season. This is a huge change in the forecast, going from relegation, possibly, we don't want to be there, to then all of a sudden playoffs. It's a huge jump, and I think we can miss that, can't we? And just we can all of a sudden be like, oh, we're looking up, so let's get third. When actually, if you'd offer us 8th at the start of the season, everyone would have said yes, please. But it's because we now know we could do better that it becomes, I'm not satisfied with that. So I think in reflection, after the season, perhaps, no matter what happens, it'll then become a bit more even keel. But I think right now everyone's getting giddy. And either going too far one way where they think top 4, or they think we're going to explode and finish 14th. There doesn't seem to be much in the way of, all right, we'll be steady and we'll finish 9th or 8th.
No. I think that's absolutely right. That's exactly where we are. And I mean, my appeal to Shots fans would be to take the haptics that are happening and actually remember they're in the positive column. So for example, our home form, big tick, massive improvement from previously. I know we lost to Eastleigh. That was an amazing game. Never seen anything quite like that before. 5-0 down at home. But generally, look at all the others. We've been competing. We've done really well. So home form, big tick. Look at the late goals, big tick. Aldershot were always famous for conceding them, and this year we've scored plenty of overtime goals. Look at the strike force. It's years since we've had a 20-goal striker, and we've actually got 3 players who are currently on the 15-16 mark with Stokes, Tollage and Barham. So there's another win. 5,000 plus crowds, really positive atmosphere at the EBB, people coming. I've walked out of the EBB and people have said, first time I could hear them with their mates. First time I've been, that was exciting. I didn't think it would be like it was. So I think massive goodwill from lots of new fans or fans who are returning. And that's the other thing, returning Shots fans who stayed away, I'm afraid, under Danny Searle and Mark Molesley, because they just couldn't take being beaten at home again. That season we survived, we actually won 7 games away from home and I think won 5 at home. We were terrible at home and it was dismal. Whereas at the moment, I'm expecting a lot of people to go to Bromley, even though we've performed poorly recently. And let's cheer them on.
Yeah. Good place to end, I think, with the positive. Because, you and I have been to many a Shots game over the year, and we've dissected it on the way home and been thoroughly depressed that we've made the trip over. So yeah, finished on the positive, lots to be thankful for. And yeah, Bromley coming up. So yeah, thanks for your input, Dad. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
And yeah, if you've enjoyed watching or listening to this, you can head over to our social media. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, YouTube. We're there at the Shots Pod, and we hope you'll join us for the next one. Bye for now.